Let's get some analysis on all of that, the ongoing fallout from yesterday's rate rise and a whole lot more. My wonderful Wednesday night panel from Sydney, Sky News host Chris Smith, and from the Gold Coast, Sky News Queensland editor Peta Credlin. Let's just start with this issue, this new trend since he got out of isolation we're seeing from Anthony Albanese. He's ducking and weaving in these press conferences. He's using his colleagues quite cleverly to cover for the fact he's getting tough questions and he may not answer them, like yesterday. Have a look.
For people like you, Mr Albanese, who own 3 or 4 properties to sell to create a bigger pool of housing which would lower prices, at the moment you and others are getting tax breaks on properties.
I'll copy it here. Yeah. Albo can supplement. Yeah, sure, but Albo can supplement. Look.
Now, time and time again, Chris, he said at the start of this campaign he was going to stay there, he'd answer all the questions, he wouldn't cut them short. Well, that lasted about a week after all those gaffes. I reckon if you want the toughest job in the country, you've got to be able to take tough questions from the media. I've worked for a Prime Minister. The media is the easy part. The job's actually hard. This should disqualify him, in my view, given so close we are to the election.
What a total farce. It is the ultimate small target approach, and it is farcical that Jason Clare would come in about a third of the time to answer a third of the questions, and Albo stands back like he's some sort of figurehead or patron of the party. He should know, if he wants to be the Prime Minister, he should know the detail. He should be able to argue his point on every single policy that he puts forward, especially in an election campaign. He's had months to prepare for this. He's short of it. I'm sorry. He's proven by butt passing and flick passing that he's short of being Prime Minister. I couldn't agree with you more. And this rubbish, Peter, this is worse. The fact that the reporters on the trail only get to ask one question, which means he can answer anything to your question, and you know that the rest of the reporting bunch, they won't be prosecuting the previous question. They want their own interrogation glory. They'll ask their own questions, and so he'll be able to get away with blue murder. That's exactly what they've planned for the final 2.5 weeks of this campaign.
And Peter?
Yeah, this is a smother tactic, Liso. So why are the journos? You're a journo. Why are they putting up with it?
Well, I think they just hunt as a pack. I think it's part of the Canberra bubble. But, you know, the intel I'm getting is that Labor's tracking went up when he was in the basement in the last week or so when he was suffering from COVID. And Jason Clare and Jim Chalmers obviously polling a lot better at the moment, or tracking a lot better than Albo. But I really think this is an indication of just what modern Labor is about. They've served us up a plotter in Albanese. There's no doubt that if Jason Clare or Jim Chalmers was now opposition leader, they would be 20 percentage points in front, because they are so much more impressive. A damning indictment on the Labor leadership as we see it in 2022.
And I have to say to Australians, it is telling then, if this is the level of control before they get government, on the other side, in government, that control will be there manifest. And he'll also be heavily controlled by his colleagues. It's not like he seems to me to be an independent leader running the show, and this is not what we need at this time. Let's go to this story today. I found it fascinating. The Smart Energy Council claims that they are linked to Club 200 Independent, and they're not meeting their test as a charity. Liberal Senator Andrew Bragg has asked the charities regulator to investigate whether the Smart Energy Council, this environmental body, has breached the laws forbidding charities to promote political parties or candidates after it was discovered that Simon Holmes à Court is still sitting on the council's board. Chris.
Well, here's another con. I'm sorry, it's a total con. This whole Teal Independent, Climate 200, Smart Energy Council connection is a con. It's a political party run by Simon Holmes à Court. We know that he's put pressure on other independents who are standing in seats in Sydney to ward them off from even standing as a candidate in certain seats where he's running his own Teal Independents. I'm sorry, he is as much a political party as the Liberal Party, National Party, the Greens and the Labor Party are. And he keeps fobbing off. He keeps telling his candidates not to reveal who you would preference. If there was a minority government, don't reveal who you would support. No. We're trying to get Conservative votes, and that's the way we'll win our electorates. I do hope the voters of Australia have looked through this, seen how transparent it is, and don't fall for it.
Well, I hope they are too, but I think people are only just now focusing on the election, and all of these points that we've litigated now for a number of weeks have to be litigated again. They've got to cut through a whole lot of noise as people run down to the 21st of May. Lisa, let's go up to Queensland. More noise today around scandals in Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk. The corruption watchdog, we're told, has just finished their investigation into Nicholas Stepanov's office and the laptop and all of that. She was the Crime and Corruption Commissioner. The Premier forced to apologise too for taking her other half, her partner, to a meeting in Sydney all about the Brisbane Olympic Games. You've got to wonder what they were actually down in Sydney for. Where did they go after the actual meeting? That's where my sort of radar goes on these things. But it's every day we're talking about the integrity issues inside this government. Is she taking water here? Or just like the pandemic, are voters giving her a free pass?
No, I do think she's taking water. I do think Queenslanders see integrity now as a much bigger issue than what it was, say, 3 to 5 years ago, because she campaigned off the back of transparency and getting integrity right. Let's deal with the IOC meeting. That was just terribly poor judgment. To take her partner along was just a very poor look, and I've got to question the advice she's getting, because that was always going to finish up on the front page of the Courier Mail, that story, because it was just weird, it was crazy, and it sort of goes to the heart of the arrogance and hubris that exists in this government right now. But as far as the Stepanov matter is concerned, Peta Credlin is halfway through his review and his revision of what's going on as far as integrity within the Queensland Public Service. The interim report was damning. I'm expecting that his final report will be even more damning. We need to know what's on that particular computer. We need to know what was in that computer and why it was such a hot topic that we had the Public Service Commissioner going after it, deleting what was on it. And we also need a Royal Commission in this state to find out exactly why we've got these integrity issues besetting this government, as you say, Peter, every day.
Just quickly, Chris, why is Albanese so worried about Tanya Plibersek?
I don't know whether something has occurred in that first week where they got so concerned or frightened about how he dropped the ball in that first week. It was a disaster. Maybe she said something that was derogatory. I'm only making this up. I haven't heard anything purposely on the ground. But to think that you wouldn't get a photo with her until the middle of the fourth week tells me that something is awry.
Yeah, Gleeso, that says there's division in the ranks, doesn't it?
Without question. And Plibersek has been very much front and centre of the ALP's, public persona over the last 18 months. She's gone around in everything bar the Melbourne Cup. And now, during the course of the election campaign, they put her on the bench. There's something not quite right about this, and I'm sure there's a lot of competitiveness going on within Labor ranks.
Yeah, they're both from the left, both in Sydney, and they both cut their teeth in the Rudd-Gillard governments where knives were aplenty. Peter Gleeson, Chris Smith, thank you as always. See you next week.